Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us. You're ready to level up your life a little bit.
I think we all are.
Today, we are going to be taking a look at Brian A. Street's program, Mentally Empowered Your Legacy Begins Now.
Sounds interesting.
Now, Brian is a social entrepreneur and cognitive behavioral coach, and he's got quite the background. Not only does he have a master's in social work,
Oh, wow.
but he also has over 9 years of experience in psychology and social work. Plus, he spent like 8 years putting all that theory into practice.
Wow, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt then.
Yeah, and get this, he's worked with all sorts of people, from everyday people like you and me to big-time company executives.
I bet that gives him a unique perspective.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, seeing what holds people back, across the board.
Yeah, and probably learning a ton about how to help people break through those barriers too.
Exactly. So, what is this mentally empowered program all about?
Well, it's a 9-week virtual group program. People have the option to do one-on-one sessions if they want to. But the main thing is, it's designed to be this safe space for healing and growth.
Yeah.
But it also seems pretty assertive, which I like. It's not just about coddling people.
It's interesting you say that. Because Brian actually mentions in his bio that he was called the pages of her diary back in high school.
Really?
Yeah, so it seems like he's always been someone who makes people feel comfortable opening up.
You need that for real growth, you know?
Totally.
I mean, you can't really level up in life if you're not willing to get a little vulnerable.
For sure. Now, I know Brian uses something called cognitive behavioral coaching in his program.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit what that is?
It's based on the idea that we all have these kind of mental programs running in the background.
Mental programs.
Yeah, like beliefs and thought patterns that come from our past experiences.
Okay, I'm following you.
And the thing is, sometimes these programs, they lead us to negative self-talk or just kind of unhelpful behaviors that keep us stuck, you know?
So it's like our brains are on autopilot sometimes,
Precisely.
and we're not even aware of these negative programs running.
Right.
So how does cognitive behavioral coaching change that?
So it's about realizing what those programs are, identifying the ones that aren't doing us any good, and then figuring out how to rewrite them.
Rewrite them.
Yeah, with programs that are more positive, you know, ones that actually help us grow.
So we're basically taking control of our thoughts,
Yeah,
and then our emotions and behaviors can start to change too.
Exactly.
So let's say someone is listening to this and they really are serious about leveling up their lives. How could cognitive behavioral coaching help them?
Well, imagine someone who is constantly battling self-doubt. Maybe they have this mental program that tells them, I'm not good enough, or I'm going to fail.
Ugh, we've all been there.
Right. And that kind of thinking, well, it can really stop you from taking risks, from going after the things you want. And ultimately, it can prevent you from reaching your full potential.
Makes sense. So how does Brian's program actually tackle these mental roadblocks?
Well, he's got a whole toolbox of techniques and exercises that he uses.
Oh, really? Like what?
For example, he might encourage you to look for evidence that contradicts those negative thoughts. Like, think about times you've succeeded in the past, or positive feedback you've gotten from others.
Okay.
He also helps you develop coping mechanisms and come up with positive affirmations to replace those self-defeating thoughts.
So it's not just about identifying the problem, it's like actively working to change those thought patterns, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's not just some random idea he came up with. There's actually research to back it up.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Which is what this coaching is based on.
Right. It's been proven to be effective for a whole range of issues.
Right, what?
Anxiety, depression, even things like low self-esteem or addiction.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
It seems like Brian takes a very holistic approach to personal growth. He doesn't just focus on the mental side of things. He gives people actual tools they can use to make changes in their lives.
Absolutely.
And I know it's not just about the 9 weeks of group sessions either.
No, it's not. Brian offers all these additional resources to help people keep growing, even after the program ends.
Like what?
Well, he sends out weekly accountability emails.
Oh, I bet that's helpful.
Yeah, helps people stay on track. He's also got a mentally empowered e-journal to help with reflection and self-actualization reflection e-workbook
Okay.
with a bunch of different exercises and prompts.
So this workbook guides you even further.
Yeah, it's like a companion to the program.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not all. There's also a legacy mentality Telegram group
Okay.
where people can connect with each other and get support.
So it's like an online community for people in the program.
Exactly.
It's amazing how he's created this whole support system. It goes way beyond just attending those group meetings.
Yeah, Brian really seems to get it. That ongoing support can make a huge difference.
Especially when you're trying to make big changes in your life.
Right. It's easy to fall back into old habits without that support.
Speaking of which, you mentioned earlier that Brian's program is designed to be a safe yet assertive space for healing.
I did.
Can you explain a little more what you meant by that?
Sure. So the word safe, it means that people feel comfortable being vulnerable. They can share their experiences without being judged.
That's so important.
It is. And Brian seems to be really good at creating that kind of atmosphere.
What about the assertive part?
Well, assertive means that while the space is safe, it's not a place where you can just coast. It challenges you to push yourself.
So it's like a balance between support and challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real growth often requires us to face those uncomfortable feelings,
Yeah.
the limiting beliefs we have about ourselves. You have to confront them.
It sounds like Brian's program does a good job of encouraging that deep inner work.
It does, and people are noticing.
What do you mean?
Well, there are a bunch of testimonials on his website from people who've gone through the program,
Oh, right. I was just about to bring those up.
and they're all really positive.
For example, there's one from B. Kitchens who talks about how Brian was there for them when they lost a close friend.
Oh, wow.
They said, recently I went through the devastating loss of a dear friend, and Brian was eager to reach out to let me know he was there if I ever needed to talk. In a time where so many people are negative and judgmental, I know I can count on Brian to remind me of where I need to keep my thoughts.
It's nice to have that kind of support during a tough time.
Totally. And then there's Jay Lucas, who says, so many times, one of your words directly pertains to a specific situation in my life. It's so divine it gives me chills. I believe our paths crossed for a reason. Thank you for all you do. You are a vital key to my success. Just know you're freaking awesome and you're making the world a better place.
That's amazing.
Clearly, Brian had a huge impact on their life. And what I find so interesting is that the testimonials come from such a variety of people with different backgrounds, different experiences. It seems like Brian's program can really benefit anyone.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
They all highlight different aspects of Brian's approach, too. For example, our Taleb says, Brian doesn't judge me or give up on me, and he energetically shows up for me even through the tough character-building days when I don't attain my goals the first time around.
Sounds like he's a great coach.
And C. Spiker adds, I have the incredible fortune of knowing Brian. He embodies the positivity and encouragement that he shares through his guidance. His presence is much like a ray of sunshine.
A ray of sunshine, that's a great way to put it.
So, it seems like Brian's program is pretty amazing, but is there anything about it that gives you pause? Anything that you think might be a potential drawback, or that might not be a good fit for everyone?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, the program seems really structured, and the group setting might be great for some people, but others might prefer something more individualized, you know?
Right, like maybe one-on-one coaching?
Exactly. Some people love that group dynamic,
Yeah.
but others might find it a little intimidating, or they might have trouble opening up in that kind of setting.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's also worth pointing out that Brian's approach seems very focused on positive psychology,
Yeah, I don't...
which it can be really powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's not for everyone. Some people might need to explore a wider range of emotions.
Including the negative ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So while Brian's program has a lot to offer, it's important to be honest with yourself about what you need and whether his approach is the right fit.
Absolutely. It's like anything else, you know? You got to do your research, explore different options, and figure out what resonates with you.
Such great advice. It all comes back to self-awareness, right?
It does.
Being willing to look inward and figure out what you need.
And then having the courage to go after it.
Sometimes that's the hardest part.
It can be, but having someone like Brian to guide you can make a huge difference.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. So to everyone listening out there, as I think about whether Brian's program could help you level up your life, just remember that personal growth is a journey. It takes time and effort.
There's no quick fix,
No magic bullet. You have to be willing to put in the work.
but the rewards can be incredible.
They really can. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself.
Well said.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into mental empowerment with Brian A. Street. We hope this conversation has given you some food for thought and maybe even inspired you to take that next step on your personal growth journey. Thanks for joining us.